Meet Johnny. Johnny likes to eat. Johnny likes to drink a lot. When he dines out, he gets cash back and likes to make it rain $1 bills. But wait, how can you afford to do that? Introducing MOGL. First, you sign up and register your credit card. Next, eat out at a MOGL restaurant and use that same card. And cash in on the benefits. It's that easy. What makes MOGL thrive? Gamification.
At what instinctually drives humans and makes them happy. So video games can get kids to sit in front of a screen for 12 hours. World of Warcraft, I mean, it's addictive. And it's only really since sort of the turn of the century that we've started to look at how can you gamify the real world. And that concept is catching on like wildfire. And now people are using gamification in all types of industries.
It's almost in our core to like compete and be aware of and earn things, right? It really kind of stemmed to more the competitive nature and human behavior, and basically human psychology, right? It's that we're all somewhat, driven to make our decisions in life, or motivated, if you will, based upon competition and natural selection.
We kind of looked at it and said, there's something here. This is a really powerful concept to sort of take the real world and apply the rules and psychology that video game makers do and sort of change industries, disrupt industries. And then when we started looking at it, we saw like restaurants was definitely going to be the spot to apply gamification. I mean, it's a huge industry. It's like $760 billion a year. And they haven't innovated since buy 10, get one free. That's their game. So we were like, oh, this is a huge opportunity. So that's when we started building MOGL. And that's where the idea came from.
So we looked at, buying behavior as a whole. And we said, okay, well, how can we put, eating out, right, and make it more fun with gamification? And we figured out it's almost like a triangle. So the first part of our triangle is the 10% cash back, right? But that applies to, let's say, all the savers, right? Who doesn't really like 10% cash back? Pretty much universally, everybody would like 10% cash back, right? That really resonates in messages to those type of buying behaviors. The second component is our charity, or our Meal for a Meal program, right? So people are actually motivated, if you will, to do business with other businesses that are actually giving back to the community, okay? It's more of that driver, if you will, right? Of, oh, there's another incentive, right, for me to be using MOGL because they have this giving component. The real gamification that we come up with is the third piece of the triangle, which is our jackpots, okay? So that's where we looked at, how do we make this more fun, and how do we appeal to this kind of gamer society, if you will, that real competitive nature. We engage our users where, hey, if I'm in first place and then I get kicked out of first place, I'll get an alert. It's going to drive me back into that restaurant, right, at least in theory, to try to earn that first place because I have that psychology. I want that status. I want to be the MOGL, right, of that venue. So that's, I guess, specifically how MOGL integrates game mechanics into its model.
Gamification is really hard to get right. It's not just as simple as like I'm going to add some badges to my app, and some kind of mayorship, and you're in business. It really takes a lot of hard work. So I think it's been this buzzword, and the problem is that everybody thinks it's just badges and challenges and levels, and that's it. But it's so much more than that. That's why many of the companies that are using it have sort of failed because they haven't designed that sort of perfect game.
Concept that most students are really leery of, and it's failure, right? We've been trained our entire lives that failure's bad, failure's bad, failure's bad. Well, it's almost you have the complete opposite psychology in startups, in business, especially startups. You have to fail as fast as possible with your best anticipation and knowledge and formulation and thesis of what your model is going to do when it gets out into the real world. And you're going to have to pivot, they call it pivot, or change that strategy all the time, right? Until you kind of get a vein where you're just in there, right? And you see a lot of traction.
makes MOGL innovative? It's definitely the amount of alcohol we have at the company. I mean, it's just a ton of it.
Viewers think you're cool.
Yeah.
And why is that?
Because we drink heavily.
That's definitely going to that.
Tequila, beer, wine, champagne, shots.
Distinguishes you guys.
Sure, we drink very heavily.
Wednesday night, start drinking at 5. Start ideas at 5:30. Stop drinking at 6, or you'd be too drunk. And then like 6:30, cut off the brainstorm. Like there's something like system that you could like harness it, and then you could be truly innovative.
So where did the mascot come from, and why do you use the mascot?
Well, we found him at a party, of course. Just kidding.
We're drunk.
Yeah, we're drunk.